Good Tuesday morning, everyone. Welcome back. You're watching the Kaiser Report. I'm here with Kaiser, who's on the couch this morning, relaxing, and we're going to bring you some happenings around the country, around the world, and talk about a few things that are, in some cases, disturbing to most, and not understanding why the Democrats act the way they do. And their propaganda arm of MSNBC, CNN, and all of the networks, the legacy networks, have been wrong in their reporting of what was taking place with regard to our involvement in helping Israel get rid of the nuclear threat that was taking place in Iran. If you're as old and have been around as long as I have, you'll quickly realize and remember that it was not that long ago in 1979 when they held hostages, and then we had an election that took place that back then too, where everyone did not like the incoming president, who happened to be one of my favorite presidents until now, Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan said either they get released by the time I take my oath of office here, or they'll be held to pay. And they did get released, and since then, the Islamic revolutionists that took over a beautiful country, a Persian country of nice people, and got rid of and overthrew the Shah, and I'm not a fan of the Shah or anything else. I don't understand what went on there, except for radical revolutionists trying to take over a country and have a regime change, which ended up threatening most of the Middle East and some places in the world that should not have been threatened. We have these newscasters, these talking heads, and in some cases, pure, stupid idiots, such as Rachel Maddow and Collins and the people at CNN that know nothing but come out and push and propagate to the American people fear. That's what they are living on. That is what the Democratic Party has going for it today, is a fear campaign to make you afraid of everything. If you think about all that's going on in the streets of L.A. and in New York and Chicago and all of the blue states that are run by Democratic morons that cannot understand why the American people reelected Donald J. Trump. Well, if you haven't been paying attention for the last couple of days, you'll quickly realize that what they have been propagating to you on a daily basis through these channels and these actors that come out and act like journalists, you'll quickly realize that they have been lying to you and the American public and instilling fear and pushing the protests that are going on in the streets that in some cases are turning ugly. We all have the right to the First Amendment, and we all can bring our point of view out on signs or have peaceful protests. But when it turns violent, when it turns against the police, when it turns against a democratic juggernaut to get rid of a party or a president or a person from the cabinet of that party, there is something radically wrong with inside our government. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit and get our points across to you so you understand that what you're hearing out of the mouths of Rachel Maddow and anyone else that is talking to you on CNN or MSNBC may not be portraying to you what is really taking place, whether it is in Iran, Israel, Ukraine. All of this is orchestrated nonsense to keep this country's population in fear. It's the fear of tariffs. It's the fear of getting into another war. Don't believe Donald Trump when he says he wants peace across this, not only this nation, but the world. And he's proving it day in and day out. And now they're trying to say he's trying to get us into a war. This is fear to keep you on needles and pins and sicken the population worse than it's been sickened now by our drug companies and our food processors that have brought the unhealthiness to this land. Let's just take a brief look here at Rachel and company.
Yesterday.
Now, common wisdom about this president, about the political movement that he leads, is that he is supposedly isolationist, that he is supposedly anti-war. That has never been exactly right. That's always been kind of a lazy common wisdom. In less than 6 months back in office, he has threatened military action against Panama, against Canada, against Denmark in order to seize Greenland. He has bombed Yemen over and over and over again, and now he appears to have entered the United States military into a war in Iran, something that neoconservatives have thrilled to for, I guess, 2 generations now. We are now in war with Iran.
The next day.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Ingram Angle. I'm Laura Ingram, my angle in moments. But first, tonight, we begin with major breaking news. It's a development that few thought was possible even a few days ago. But with President Trump in charge, we've seen time and time again, the so-called experts are proven wrong. President Trump says Israel and Iran have agreed to a full ceasefire, taking effect in just a few hours.
I think I'm going to have to hand this off. Yeah. Sorry. That does it for us tonight.
You lose! Good day, sir! But wait! There's more!
Now, we're hearing incredibly optimistic views coming out of the White House as far as how long this can hold and what this is going to look like. That obviously still remains to be seen on the implementation side of this, and waiting to see if the firing does stop and if Iran and Israel do both agree to this. Because, you know, speaking of the fluidity of the situation, it was just 24 hours ago that President Trump himself was suggesting a regime change in Iran.
10 seconds later.
And so the question is whether or not this still holds for the next few hours.
Caitlin, I just been given word that Iran, according to a diplomat who briefed CNN, Iran has agreed to the ceasefire.
Think about that.
So this is significant. I just want to try to learn some more information as soon as we get it about that. But if that is the case, that's incredibly significant because that is, we were waiting. We had not heard from Iran. We had not heard from Israel. All we were going on so far has been the president's social media post, which was some 2 hours ago. I said, young man.
You Nazi?
Excuse me?
Hey, man. Now, the way I see it, you owe me an apology.
What did you just call me?
You ain't listening, baby. We ain't got nothing to talk about unless it starts with you saying I'm sorry.
It's incredible what they can portray to you and get away with it without anyone calling them on the carpet for it. But, folks, it's interesting, and if you haven't learned to turn off CNN and MSDNC and CBS, ABC, NBC affiliates, I think the only good NBC affiliate that you can look at is their reporting on what's taken place in the stock market. And even on that show, you have a couple of characters like that howdy-doody looking guy with the 2 different colored eyes that just hates Donald Trump. The hatred for Trump is is sickness. And it's a sickness that has taken place right now to a point where they're actually talking about making it a disease, because Trump derangement syndrome is alive and well amongst these people. And here's the key to the whole thing. They don't even know why they hate Donald Trump. They are a victim of their own lies and their own propaganda. And that's what it looks like to me, and it should look that way to you. Talk about people and Democrats that just cannot stop losing. Gavin Newsom. My God. It is unbelievable how this guy tries to get away with acting like he might know something. This guy is one of the largest, biggest phonies with a great head of hair, is what women will tell you when you talk to them about Gavin Newsom, as he's known by Trump. But it's incredible. And let's just take in consideration what's taking place in Los Angeles these days, where they're out in the streets and the flag changes that have taken place. Let's just go back to a few years ago to 2020, when all the Black Lives Matter flags were flying among the idiots that were out there telling you, what to be upset about and the reason for the riots and burning of buildings. And then you go to the Antifa try for getting their flag into things. And then we had the rainbow flag that was brought out by people that practice their own lifestyle. And that was misused, and that was trotted out by the wrong people with the wrong message, which turned a lot of people in this country and around the world a little bit turned off by it. And then you have the Palestinian flags were flying because we wanted to get anti-Israel and all of the pro-Palestine stuff taking place. So we had months and months of the Palestinian flags flying. And then all of a sudden we start to round up the illegals that are in this country. And then you see the Mexican flags took front stage right then and there. And now, within a very short period of time, the Iranian flags are flying on the protest marches now. And then you have people that don't even understand what those flags represent to anybody. They just are told, take these flags, take these signs. Isn't it interesting when you stop and think about the fact that these signs can be printed almost overnight in mass numbers? Who's paying for that? Someone is paying for these protests to take place, and someone is getting their message out through people that I think are of lesser intelligence, that are easily bought off or paid off to be out in the streets causing riots and havoc. And when you have chaos in the streets, people are afraid again. This is the Democratic way of doing things. Make them fear you, and then they'll put you in power. Well, I believe that this is all going to back up on somebody, but let's take a look at Newsom, the loser, the continued losing of California and the people like him that back these protests. Take a look here.
A weekend of escalating tension in Los Angeles. Thousands of protesters upset of the Trump administration's immigration rates, clashing with police along side streets and freeways. President Trump deployed 2,000 National Guardsmen going around California Governor Gavin Newsom, who says he didn't need the help.
Local law enforcement had no needs. They were not requesting any additional resources, but they didn't need that support. He made this up. This is a manufactured crisis.
Newsom today announcing the state is suing the administration, alleging it illegally deployed the troops.
Governor Gavin Newsom, what time are you filing the lawsuit tomorrow?
Very early in the morning. I'd love to do it tonight, but we got lawyers working on the brief.
Look at me.
Sure.
Look at me.
Sure.
I'm the captain now.
The hell is going on?
Are there other cities that you're going to try to replicate what you've done in Los Angeles?
Well, I mean, we had a big victory last night in the Court of Appeals with respect to Los Angeles, but really the country, where Gavin Newsom, who's really an incompetent governor, he's just doing a terrible job between his fires, between all the houses burning down, his forest fires, and now Los Angeles. If we didn't go to Los Angeles, and the sheriff admitted it, he had no control. He would have lost control. We saved Los Angeles by having the military go in.
Thousands of tears later.
What is the mood like, Elizabeth, that you sense from talking to lawmakers, state officials, about where this goes from here now that the president does have the legal green light to use the National Guard?
I can tell you that in New York City, if he deploys the National Guard in New York, it'll cause it's going to cause a giant outrage and create probably more violence than there would be anyway. It'll cause it's going to cause a giant outrage and create probably more violence than.
Where's that?
It's
Where? Where? I should take your ass to jail. You know that?
We need to stop allowing communist Islamic radicals into our Congress. This is part of the problem. They don't pledge allegiance to this country. They don't care for this country. They tell you they don't care for this country. They take the radical thinkers such as Jasmine Crockett and whip them up to join their ranks and try to take over a party called the Democratic Party. Well, here's a message for everyone out there listening to me today. It is not your father's Democratic Party any longer, and it hasn't been for quite a while. The transformation of the Democratic Party took place with the election, the first election of Barack Hussein Obama, who fundamentally changed this party to a party of radical ideologists and foreigners to be pushed into our Congress and Senate to cause the transformation of a normal country into an abnormal mess that they profit from, and they become the elites once they're in power. And let's look at this. Once they're in power, it's very difficult to get them out of power because they will lie, cheat, and steal to keep that seat and make you believe that they are doing something for the public of the United States of America. We looked at that. We saw that in November, and we answered in November. And what we have now is a president that takes no guff and will straighten this out if allowed to. So we need to stop allowing these people to get these seats and try to fundamentally change the Constitution of the United States. And I find it very interesting that we have elected officials in our Congress and our House of Representatives that do not understand the Constitution. They do not understand the laws of the land, and they show it every day that they open their mouth and say the things that they're saying right now to the public through the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party, which is mainstream media. And there are guilty people on the other side of the aisle as well. So I am not going to lay it all, but it mostly exists in the Democratic Party right now. So that brings us to ask the question, is our border secure right now? Was our border secure 4 years ago? Was our border secure under Obama's 8 years in office? Somewhat, but not totally. Right now, you have a secure border. And to say so, let's take a look here.
I'm ABC 15 data analyst Garrett Archer, and I'm taking you inside the numbers on the massive drop in migrant encounters at the southern border and some of the trends behind them. So Customs and Border Protection put out a press release last week reporting 7,180 migrant encounters on the southern border. It's the lowest monthly data in the department's 25 years of monthly encounter data. In fact, all 5 months with the lowest monthly encounter data occurred during the first year of a Trump term. Last month ranked third, and March through April of 2017 fill out the other three spots. The government has not provided any further breakout of the March numbers yet, so we have to look back at February for trends. And what we found were some huge drops of migrant encounters by country of origin, a range of 63 to 99%. Migrant encounters with Mexican citizens fell the least, a 63% drop from January to February, following declines from China, Guatemala, other countries not listed by the U.S. CBP, and El Salvador. Over 90% declines from Colombia, Venezuela, Haiti, Cuba, and Peru, as well as Nicaragua.
You can go to sleep at night knowing that we're not going to allow another 62,000 people into this country that we know nothing about, unvetted, unvaccinated, and unappreciative for being in this country. If you want to talk about people that do not appreciate the fact that they were let into this country, they're out flying their other countries' flags in our streets. What does that tell you? It tells you they don't want to be Americans. They want to be Mexicans. They want to be Iranians. They want to be Chinese nationals. They want to be from the Congo. They want to be from Hades. And they could give a darn less about our laws, and it's showing and it's evident. We need to round up the criminal element for the good people that are here actually working and adding to our society and appreciative of being in our society. My hat goes off to those people, and I'm sure that they will have an opportunity to stay as long as they can prove their allegiance to the United States. So our border is secure.
Joe, about as angry, I'm told there, about as angry as President Trump has been in public in a long time this morning. Here we go.
Bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
And that'll take us for a small walk into Stupid Town right now to take a look at just some of the nonsense that we have to put up with from not only the Democratic Party, but some of our own leaders that cannot behave themselves and act like they're Hollywood bit players to put on acts to make you think that they're the martyrs in all of this. Take a look at Stupid Town.
Constitution is very clear on this issue that only Congress has the power to declare war and to authorize the type of offensive military action that Donald Trump deployed in striking Iran.
We're okay. We're okay.
Now, Donald Trump is going to have to demonstrate to the American people and to us in Congress that there was an imminent threat that justified his actions. It's hard to imagine that he has the ability to actually prove that.
Prove it.
Because we've seen no evidence.
There are multiple video evidence, social media evidence.
To justify this type of offensive strike. And the problem with it is that there doesn't also seem to be a plan for how to avoid the type of escalation that could result in America being dragged into another potentially disastrous Middle Eastern war.
Yes, you sure right about that.
Trump has called you, quote, a low IQ person.
Crockett. I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person.
And a low life.
I hope he also calls her a lawyer. That's another thing that she is.
No, he did not.
You said on day one you were going to reduce the price of eggs. We ain't heard nothing about it. You know what I mean? Like, there's real issues and there's people that are hurting. And then they spent $45 million for his little birthday parade. I'm just saying, can we reprioritize some of those dollars? I'm not even asking for $1 million, but can we get something? Because we have nothing. This is a problem, especially in light of the environment. And there are Republicans that are concerned. And to be clear, they're not really concerned about the radical leftists that they talk about. They're concerned about MAGA.
I don't know what they're going to do.
We right now have a white supremacist that is sitting in the White House.
I don't know what they're going to do.
I am tired of the white boys.
And the same week where we have a president who has deployed the military, who are trained to kill our enemies, not Americans, but our enemies, are in our streets. It's the same week that we are going to have a military parade. Can you imagine that image that is going to be coming out of our country? I mean, I grew up in a dictatorship. And I don't even remember ever witnessing anything like that. To have a democracy, a beacon of hope for the world to now be turned into one of the worst countries where the military are in our streets without any regard for people's constitutional rights. What?
Oh, no, she didn't.
To have a democracy, a beacon of hope for the world to now be turned into one of the worst countries, one of the worst countries.
Now, why don't you have some self-respect and leave?
Well, that's going to pretty much wrap it up for this Tuesday. But I urge you all to get on your knees at night and thank God for the country you live in, and thank God that you don't wake up to sirens telling you to get into a bunker so the missiles do not kill you that are coming across your borders. It's a terrible world that we live in when we have despots that can do these things and harm their fellow man. We have to pray every day that this comes to an end and that peace will once and hopefully take place in the Middle East, and I mean the entire Middle East. I know that people have hated Israel for years. They've hated since 1947. There's no need for it. It is there. It is a sovereign country, and no one should be sending any kind of weaponry into that country to do harm for its population. Just imagine getting up in the middle of the night because the sirens go off. It's not a pleasant life to live. We have great people in Iran. We have great people in Israel. And we have great people throughout the Middle East. And these are all God's children. So let's pray and pray every day. The only way we're going to get out of this mess that we see happening in the streets of this country and other countries is to pray and pray often and pray diligently that peace can come into the souls of the people that have been misled by whatever, whether it's politics or religion or anything else. There is one supreme leader. There is no supreme leader of any country. The supreme leader in this country is Jesus Christ and God the Father. And we need to pray every day that this will come to the realization of the people that are causing the problems in this nation and around the world. And with that, Kaiser and I urge you to stay safe, stay strong, pray often, and stay tuned to the Kaiser Report for more information and a daily visit to Stupid Town, as long as we have people that can portray themselves in the fashion that they do. God bless. Bye-bye now.